A word to describe Dr. John. One word. One word for Dr. John. Okay. I would probably say sensitive. And not in the sense like, oh, you can't say anything to him, he's so sensitive. But like, sensitive to his surroundings, the people, and like what they need and what they're feeling, and then he's very responsive to that. A memory of Dr. John from this season. Sleep-deprived John is the best John. So during Tech Week, during warm-ups, one of the times for our town this semester, he was talking about the importance of tongue twisters and why we have those in our warm-up regimen. And he was saying how we don't typically use our mouths in those ways unless we're really avid kissers. It was very funny.
Ecstatic. Happy. He's always just excited about everything. He gets me excited about everything. He was my FYF mentor, and I was excited to go to Trinity, but I was kind of indifferent about it. And then all of a sudden, there he is as my FYF mentor, and he's just showing us around downtown Chicago and just telling us all about Trinity. And he was just doing his laugh that made everyone else laugh, and just his energy really got us all together, especially me and Billy. We were too indifferent about coming into Trin, but he really brought us to get excited about school. Yeah. One of the things I'll never forget about Sebastian this season was coming into auditions. It was pretty difficult because I just lost my grandpa, and I was very hesitant on coming in because I didn't really know what I wanted to do a semester after that happened. I wanted to do the play before that all happened, but after it did, I didn't know like what I was gonna do for the next couple months. And he just told me to come in anyway, and I missed the callback, but he was very supportive through all of that, and I'm just gonna be grateful for him for that for the rest of my life, because he didn't really push me into doing anything, but he was like the hand on my back, just let me know, just everything's cool, like we're all in this together no matter what.
One word to describe Dr. John. I would have to say the literal worst. That's 3 words, but I couldn't narrow it down.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to explain myself. I felt it was pretty self-explanatory. I mean, only the nicest person I've ever met. So, something fishy about that there. No, but for real, Dr. John, I think if I had to pick a word to describe him, it would be joyful, because whatever he's doing, you can just tell that there is so much love and joy and passion in his heart about it, and that just extends to everybody else in close proximity, whether that's through excitement or by hearing his amazing laugh, or just feeling really, really proud of the work that you've accomplished at the end of the show or at the end of the semester. A favorite memory of Dr. John, it's not from this season, but something that I actually think about probably daily that Dr. John told me was one time during advising when I was planning out my schedule and feeling really frustrated about how to fit my double major together and everything, and also frustrated about how I was going to pursue theater after graduation. I said something along the lines of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this when I graduate, and how sad is that this is going to be my last chance. And Dr. John said back to me, why would you think that God gave you a passion about something that he doesn't intend for you to use for his purpose? And that has definitely stuck with me throughout all 4 years of my Trinity experience. This is maybe freshman or sophomore year. And I think about it all the time as I go into my impending graduation or job searches, that I know that, like he said, God has a plan and a purpose, and Dr. John was able to help me see that. So, thank you.
One word I would use to describe Dr. John is encouraging. he's always been that way as long as I've known him, from my first experience with him auditioning in this room for a scholarship to last night when I was feeling down about the show, and he was just trying to build me up and telling me that it was okay and that I was a valuable part of this production. He's always been really encouraging and telling me that he trusts me and stuff like that. So yeah, he's great. My favorite memory from this whole season is one night when we were painting the floor for Andorra last semester, and it was late, and Dr. John went and got us Taco Bell. And it was the first time that I really sat down with him and just had a friendly conversation with him in a very, just unstructured way. And just got to see a whole new side of him that I hadn't seen before, and I think that was something that made me realize, like, this guy is really, really awesome, and we're gonna be good friends. So.
Let's see. One way I can describe Dr. John is that he is very flexible. Like, he's really chill. He knows how to, like, work between all of our schedules, surprisingly, even his own schedule. I appreciate a lot about him. Like, my favorite memory was last night where we went to Jerry's house for a party and we were playing Live Mafia. So he was the narrator, and he came up with some really morbid stories about how people died, including having newspapers just clipped off and just shoved up someone's nose. And then I thought to myself, he should write some horror stories.
One word to describe Dr. John would be welcoming. Why welcoming? Well, since the very start of me being at Trinity, you're the first person who ever really welcomed me into the community, and I've really appreciated it, and I've seen you welcome a lot of other people in who have gotten their start at Trinity as well. My favorite memory from the whole season, well, I was in Andorra, and I was in our town, but my favorite memory was actually from before both of those. It was like the first day of classes, and Emma and I were together, and of course, us being freshmen, we thought we had to go to Com 226 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which apparently isn't true, so great, good. But we found you, and we just thought it was gonna be a one-word answer, and then you had an entire conversation with us, and we were pleasantly surprised, and at the end of it, you told us welcome to the family, and that was just a really big deal, and it made me feel really welcome in the Trinity community.
I would describe Dr. John in one word as delightful. Oh, I have to keep going. Okay. He's just a very bubbly person, and his laugh is contagious, and it's just like, it's like a good kind of infection that spreads throughout the room, and everyone's like suddenly joyful when he's around, because he's like, oh, hey, friends. One memory from this season that I'll remember, it's kind of small, was when I was going to sell tickets in the CAF, and he told Andrea and I that he stumbled upon like moldy money in the box office, and he opened it to show us, and it was disgusting. Like, it smelled horrible. Like, I didn't know money could mold. It was moldy, like, very.
A word to describe Dr. John. I would have to say passionate, whether it's about like his students and teaching, or his family, or like putting work into the theater. He has a lot of passion for everything he does. My favorite memory of Dr. John from this season is probably a couple weeks ago. He said we needed to try the sodas, the vintage sodas. So we took champagne glasses, and there was probably about 9 of us. And before every sip of the soda, we made some silly toast to something, and it was just a really fun night.
Favorite word to describe Dr. John is admirable. I find him really admirable because he is always helpful, and he is very almost fatherly, so to speak. From this season, it would have to be just drinking sodas with Dr. John. It was so much fun, and it was just so out of the blue. I did not expect it.
Okay, one word to describe Dr. John is fantastic. He thinks about everyone all the time, thinks about the show very in depth, and just really is just an amazing person to be around and be a part of his shows. So, the first time I met Dr. John was at Blueprints. My advisor said, "Oh, you like doing theater? Let me go introduce you to the theater director." And then I got to meet Dr. John, and he was the most welcoming person, very nice, very kind, coolest guy I've met at the campus.
One word to describe Dr. John is just incredible. Do I have to keep saying? Oh, why? Oh, okay. Well, he's just a really great guy, and best theater director I've ever had, and that's saying something, I guess. But no, he was when I met him, it was just a super cool, just chill, talking, oh, I thought he was gonna be this super serious theater director, but then he's just ended up, his laugh just got me. I'm he could be a best friend, you know, after graduate. I think even now he's just kind of incredible. My favorite memory of Dr. John was probably the first time I met him. He gave me an interview for just I heard that I was told the theater director wanted to see me, and I was whoa, that's crazy. And so met up with him, and we just sat there and talked about theater and stuff, and it was great. And he ended up just giving me a scholarship, saying, "Hey, do you want this? Because I see you're super enthused about theater." And I'm yeah, that's great, because it just seemed a really cool conversation with this great guy, and it was cool.
One word that I would use to describe Dr. John is delightful, because he's really funny, and he's just a great mixture of funny and also really caring. He cares a lot for all of us, and I think that's just really cool. My favorite memory from the season was when we were hanging out. Well, we weren't hanging out, we were working. And we were getting Taco Bell at 2 in the morning, and we were talking to the guy. He was talking to the guy at the drive-thru and texting Rick about it, and he was the guy at the drive-thru was "You know this is gonna take a while, right?" He was "Where's the party?" And Dr. John was "Oh, it's with a bunch of college kids." And he was "Oh, okay." And I thought it was really funny. And then we had tacos, which was great.
A word to describe Dr. John would probably have to be creative, because my brother and sister went here before me, and I've seen a couple of his shows before I came here, and with every one of them, there was something different and creative about them that he made each of them unique. When I auditioned for a theater scholarship, I was really scared and really nervous, because one thing about Trinity was I knew that they were going to get me to where I wanted in the education field, but I really wanted to make sure that Trinity was going to get me somewhere in the theater field. And when I auditioned, I was really scared, because I knew Trinity would get me there theater-wise, but I didn't know if I was good enough to get a scholarship. And when I went into audition, Dr. John just made everything cool and calm, and it was okay, what was I really scared about? So yeah.
One word I would use to describe Dr. John Sebastian is intentional. I've been in several of his productions now, and in all of those productions I can see the very intentional way he does things. Every time we see something being done on a production, we think it's being done for no reason, or just for fun, or just for kicks and giggles. But Dr. John does things with a purpose, and we usually don't see that until we see the end product, which is really great. My favorite memory of Dr. John from this season in our town is actually a private conversation that him and I had in the theater about my character, Simon Stimson, and how that affected me as an actor and me as a person. And in that conversation, I was able to gain a lot of insight on how he feels about casting and about me as a person. And we spent a lot of time really appreciating each other as people, and that was great.
One word that I use to describe Dr. John is visionary. Just because all throughout this process, he would say things like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be here, or we're gonna possibly use this. And in my mind, like I couldn't think about it, but then like actually seeing it develop, like it was really cool. Like actually seeing his vision come to life. So I would say visionary. Favorite memory that I've had this past season was when we all got to taste test the sodas. I thought I really liked that because I have a really big sweet tooth, so. Yes, realizing that Dr. John was an ENFJ, because I'm an ENFJ. That was pretty fun moment.
Okay, so I can't think of just one word to describe Dr. John, but in order to attempt to use one word, I thought of the word vision, because what I've noticed through acting with Dr. John is that sometimes there are things that happen in a scene, and he'll pick out one certain aspect, and it'll just add so much more life to that specific moment, and I just find that so impressive. So yeah. One memory that I have from Dr. John actually comes from the beginning of the semester when I wasn't in theater here yet. It was right after I had auditioned for the one acts and didn't make it, and I wanted a little feedback just to figure out how I was doing and if there's a potential for me here at Trinity Theater, and that really left a lasting impression on me. Talking with Dr. John and just like going through the acting, but also like going through like my personal life and my experience. I just really knew from that moment that I could view Dr. John as a definite mentor and as somebody who I could go to in the future as well.
Great.
Okay, so one of my favorite memories of Dr. John is not specifically from one of the plays, but I was thinking about KCACTF and our trip to Milwaukee and how we got to taste a lot of different types of foods and restaurants. And so we all got lots of different things, but Dr. John would always pass his plate around or his drink around first. And that just reminds me of how Dr. John just doesn't share his passion with us for theater. He shares himself, his food, and he shares it first. He gives us his best, not his leftovers. I guess a word I would use to describe Dr. John kind of goes along with my story of sacrificial, I think. Sacrificial of his time and his talents and his love. He shares his love with us and his time with us as if we were his own kids and his own family. And that's really cool.
A word I would use to describe Dr. John is genuine. Over the past semester, throughout his critiques and his just comments and just in general, he has just been very honest and very straightforward with me and with everyone in the cast, and that's something that I really appreciate and I really respect. My one memory happened during auditions. One of the things, we had to write an embarrassing memory on our audition form, and so I wrote probably the most embarrassing thing that I've ever done, and that was my sophomore year of high school. I went up to a group of people and literally said, I have smiley faces running through my veins, and that has just, I feel like he kind of like teased me about that afterwards, and I feel like at that point I really felt like I was getting to know Dr. John, and it was just a really cool moment for me.
One word? Okay. One word I would use to describe Dr. John would be humble. I really admire his balance between being humble and confident. I think that's something that's really hard to have as a creator, and that's been an amazing example for me. Okay. One of my favorite memories about Dr. John is when he and I met for the first time as director and assistant director. That was something that I will really cherish because I felt like we were brainstorming really well and
having a lot of fun with that, but I also felt very creatively fulfilled through that meeting.
One word to describe Dr. John? Hot. Hot. His face. Nice body. Nice, personality. Personality has a lot to do with it. It's just, hot is a good word. I would say hot. Hot? Hot's good.
When I think of Dr. John, I think of the word laughter, because he just has a great belly laugh, and it just always makes me smile when he laughs. My favorite memory is when he told us of the story of when he was giving a tour, and the girl's mom told him that his pants were ripped and he had to find his way to the dressing room, and he found a new pair of jeans to change into.
One word I would use to describe Dr. John is understanding, because sometimes the cast can get kind of goofy and off track. Sometimes we have a good cohesion, but he's very okay, that's fine, laugh with us, but get us back on track. I think one would actually be one that I unfortunately didn't get to see him say, but yesterday with the text message about how we should project, about imagine your great grandmother, and I don't know, that was pretty funny, and also the bubbly. I can't remember how exactly he said it, but yeah.
So if I were to choose one word to describe Dr. John, it would probably be awesome, just because that word just covers every spectrum, just his goofiness, just his humility, his love for theater, and his love for everyone around him. A favorite memory from a season with Dr. John would probably be, it wasn't actually in theater. He was my FYF mentor, and just getting to know him and meeting him, our whole FYF group, no one talked except for me. And so it was really great to get to know him, and just his laugh, just getting to know his laugh was fantastic.
One word that I would use to describe John Sebastian is energetic. He's extremely passionate about his work in the theater and his relationships with his students, with his colleagues, and with his friends. One day during the run of Noises Off, I brought John a package of copier paper that Heather Schulten and I had moved out of a room into the green room for safekeeping to eventually go into the box office. And it had just been sitting there for weeks on end, and I'd been talking to John several times about moving it. So finally, one night, he was sitting on the couch, and I just went over and I just dropped this stack of paper on his lap, and he gave me the weirdest look, looked up at me and was just like, "I don't want this!" Just flipped it off of his lap. It was funny. One word that I would use to describe Dr. John is fatherly. I know a few people have mentioned how he is like a second father, and no shade to my own father, but I feel like Dr. John is not the most manly man. He's not the big macho, sports and beers and whatnot and cars, but I feel like he completely has helped me redefine what it means to be a man. And he does that through the way he loves people and the way he lets, his love for God really shine through him. And I see a lot of who I see a lot of God inside of him, and a lot of the characteristics and the love and the caring and the light that he shows to people. Dr. John is he's like Jesus in a way, because he's always there. If we're always there and committed, he's there. But if we're not there at all, he's still always there. And And that's something I feel like is difficult for some people to do, because if you're not part of someone's life, if your love language is quality time, like mine is, if I'm not there for someone or if people aren't there for me, then I don't feel that connection with them. Yet Dr. John always has that connection with people, no matter how much time or how little time you have. It's like you still know the same amount of who he is by the way he acts and the way he shows love towards people. So yes, fatherly, because of the redefinition of what a man really is, which is all those things that I feel like Christ is in him. So yes. One of my favorite memories about, in relation to Dr. John is maybe the encompassing amount of time that I've known him, where the first semester I transferred to Trinity in 2014, and how I felt very isolated and disconnected and not really at the best place in my life spiritually or emotionally or physically, and even though we weren't the closest, and I saw the relationships he'd had with Esther, or with Megan, or Carrie and Kate and all them. Even though I saw that and I wanted to have something like that with someone, and I didn't know where to find it, and it crossed my mind a couple times, like it'd be great to be close to Dr. John. It'd be great to have someone to talk to and to hang out with and have a mentor, but also have a friend, and not to be afraid to share things, or to be around, or to be insecure about saying the wrong things or doing the wrong things. So I guess my favorite memory then is it's kind of the whole thing, just where our relationship was at the start to where it is now, where I feel like I can be completely cantankerous and just mess with him, and there are not a lot of professors who will mess back, and he always seems to hit the head on the nail, because either he'll dish it back or he'll question, am I being serious, or how's my sarcasm being communicated, or whatnot. So it's great that I can play like that with him, because that shows how much comfort and how many of my walls that I've built up when it comes to a mentor, or when it comes to an adult who I'm looking for guidance and for support. It just shows how many of my walls have come down because of the kindness and the love that he's shown, not only myself, but to everyone else.
Okay. Do I go now? Okay. One word that I would use to describe Dr. John is the best. And I guess that's 2 words, but the is an article, so it doesn't count. Anyways, I think that Dr. John is the best just because not only does he create such a great atmosphere for doing theater, and he just creates such a beautiful world for the play, and he really cares about every aspect of the play, but he does a really great job of making it a fun atmosphere, and he does a really good job of helping us form relationships and creating a family-like again, atmosphere here in the Trinity Theater Department. So I think that he's just the best director ever because of that. One of my favorite memories with Dr. John was this one day when we were all just sitting around in the theater, and we were describing different stories of times we had ripped our pants. And Dr. John began to share the story of a time when he was giving a tour to a student, and the student's parents actually pointed out that his entire back of his pants were split open, and then he had to go and change his pants in the middle of the tour.
Probably fun. Like, he's always just like at your party, just trying to fit in and all that stuff. And he's pretty fun to be around. Pretty cool dude. Probably my favorite first time with Dr. John was when I was actually at Blueprints. I was leaving with my advisor, and I saw him, and I'm just like, my English teacher is his best friend. I'm just like, oh, I need to go talk to Dr. John, and I met him, and it was pretty fun times because we talked about his best friend for a little bit.
The first word that I think of when I think of Dr. John is accepting, because he quickly accepted me and all the other freshmen and created a space where we could just be ourselves. My favorite memory of him has to be him telling the story of when he ripped his pants in front of that one and only student he was giving a tour to.
Oh, good.
I've been working on this. I know everyone's gonna do his laugh, but he always goes yeah, great, that's great, that's great. Or just his laugh in general. Hold on, let me build up. So, no, that's not that good, but that's all I've got. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, my best impression of Dr. John. Great!
I know. I can't do an impression of Dr. John. He's too great. I'm sorry, I can't. But I'm sorry I can't do it. But can I give a quote?
Sure.
Okay. My favorite thing that Dr. John says is basically any sentence that starts with, well, when I was at Juilliard, and then ... fill in the blank. That's all.
My best impression of Dr. John is his laugh. Oh gosh, I'm not good with the laugh.
My best impression of Dr. John. I cannot do an impression of you because I feel like nobody can capture you all at once. But I will give you my favorite catchphrase, which is, I love you all appropriately.
My best Dr. John impression, oh boy, I guess I would just have to say when he says, okay, we're gonna do this new warm-up game that I learned when I was at Juilliard. And then we all, of course, laugh because Juilliard jokes, like, classic.
Okay. All right, warm-ups.
My best impression of Dr. John. This is gonna be terrible, and I apologize straight up, but hey, friends!
That was pretty bad.
He says that all the time. What else was I supposed to do? Interdigitate.
Dr. John will talk like this and stuff, and then he'll get really loud when he's trying to elaborate. And he has a very fantastic laugh that I'll try my best to impersonate that. Something like that. He's too fantastic to impersonate.
That was mine. It does, like I said, it doesn't do it justice, but.
Oh, okay. My best impression of Dr. John. No. It's too hard. Well, I can't do his laugh. Super. That'll work. Great.
The one thing I really like about Dr. John is his laugh, honestly, because whenever anyone makes a joke or anything, everything's serious, just kind of calms down. We're able to take 10 seconds and just like calm down, and then we get right back into serious mode.
Can you try doing it?
No. Honestly, no.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing it.
All right.
Okay, my best impression of Dr. John is, the 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. Duh. That's it. That's all I got.
So this is really terrible, but like, I can't do it. Dr. John has really like large hands, and he talks to them a lot. And like he does this thing when he's talking to us and doing announcements at the beginning of like rehearsal and stuff. He like puts his like glasses in between his fingers, like from rim to rim, and they fit there. And he like thinks, and then like he puts them on like that, and we'll take them off like that, and then he'll like push them up, and it's like his hands is huge and like it's just really cool. I've never seen anyone else do it like that. So that's my weird but not accurate impression of Dr. John.
Okay, impression of Dr. John. Can I just say like something I really like that he says?
Sure.
A lot of people are saying
People
that because I can't. Okay. I love how whenever someone has a previous commitment to something, Dr. John isn't super diva-y about it. He just says, "Great, go do that," and is so encouraging of other life on campus.
Hey, pal! Ha! Billy D!
Yep. Uh-huh. Interdigitates.
Great. Last one is your best impression of him.
Can you say 14?
14.
Yeah.
You want me to say 14?
Yeah, like it's part of the thing.
Okay.
Okay.
14.
Abraham Lincoln. Do you get it? Wait, no, it's not 14, it's 16. Wait.
Yeah, I think Morgan talked about this.
She did the same thing too, dang it. Someone probably did Juilliard.
Yeah. It's okay, you can use your favorite one. Or...
Can I just do the same thing?
Sure.
Because it'll be different than the way she did
Yeah.
it, right? Okay.
So you want me to say 16?
Yeah, say
Okay.
16. I'm like,
16.
Abraham Lincoln. Okay.
Best impression. Okay. Great!
Well, okay.
Okay.
Oh, my best impression of Dr. John was actually probably when he got Professor of the Year. I went up and talked to him, and I was like, "Hey, Dr. John, congrats on the Professor of the Year." And he kind of off to the side, he was like, "Who told you?" Like, just super, he just took it with humble strides and was very sweet and just didn't want many people to know, which was awesome.
Oh, good. Okay. I think my favorite impression in general of what Dr. John does is when he makes fun, when he impersonates other people, especially people that I have either annoyed him or have done wrong to him, or just a funny circumstance that he just like knows how to, and he's very animated when he takes on the person that he's talking about, especially people who say that they've gone to a play and they write about, oh yeah, the togas were really good, and then there were no togas in the play. So Dr. John's like, "You probably didn't see this play, did you?" And he's like, "No, I did. It's like, "Okay, well, tell me about the togas." And he's like, "Oh, I thought they were really good for the piece." And he's like, "There were no togas." He's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see this piece." Like, that's like one of my favorite stories. And just when he tells it, obviously he's a lot better, and he just takes on that person that he's making fun of. And yeah, those are great times.
I could probably laugh like him.
Give me a number, any number. I'll tell you what state, what capital, or president. I got this.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do the laugh. It's gonna be a fail, but okay. Yep, that was bad.
I love you appropriately.
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 I love you appropriately, Dr. John. I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately. I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately, Dr. John.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.
I love you appropriately.